Father Fowler, so could you tell us about your vocation moment when you felt called to God?
Sure. I grew up much like many other normal high school kids. When I was in high school, I remember not having any desire whatsoever to be a priest. If you would have given me like a list of 10 things that I could have done with my future life in high school, I would have definitely put priesthood at the bottom. It didn't interest me. I wasn't inspired by it. I just didn't think it was the type of thing that would be good for my future life. And so I ended up playing sports in high school, trying to get into a good college. I ended up going to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo to study engineering. My dad's an engineer. I thought that would be my future life. But when I was at Cal Poly, I had a chance to go on a religious pilgrimage to Lourdes, France, where we believe the Blessed Mother appeared to St. Bernadette about 150 years ago. And during that trip, based on various things that happened, I got this sense that I had never asked God what God wanted me to do with my life. I had always told God what I was going to do. I was going to be a businessman at one point. I was going to be a teacher. Thought I was going to be a professional basketball player. And so when I was in Lourdes, in a moment of prayer, I just said, all right, God, I've never considered what you wanted me to do with my life. What do you want me to do, Lord? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt this feeling, this calling that God was asking me to be a priest.
Could you put that into words, of that feeling that you felt being called by God?
Sure. I've heard it described as an inaudible voice within. I didn't hear God say something through my ears, but immediately when I asked that question, there was a thought, you could say, that came out of nowhere. Basically, that was, I want you to be a priest. And people would say, well, how do you know that wasn't you? Because I never would have thought about that for myself. As I mentioned, I had no interest in being a priest. There was no desire there at the time. And so I knew it was a voice from beyond, in a sense. It was interior, so it was inaudible, that was moving me in this new direction in my life. And I do believe there's many people that have this experience. I'm sure many people have had the moment where you're trying to think of an idea and all of a sudden this thought pops out of nowhere. Something that you wouldn't have normally thought for yourself. And in a way, you wouldn't have normally thought about it. And you know that it's something outside of you, something beyond you. I like to call that the voice of God. And that's what happened in my own life.
If you could put that into a couple words, how would that feel like to you?
Sure. I think depending on the situation, people feel it in different ways. But for me, at that moment, it was an inspiration. It was this surge of inspiration, yes, that is what I'm supposed to do with my life. Kind of like a Yahtzee moment. And then at different times, I would say the voice of God within has brought peace or different feelings. But at that moment, it was a kind of a surge of inspiration and conviction.